Hey guys, it's Alysa Rushton here, and I'm the founder of the Divine Light Energy Healers Academy, and I'm a divine DNA activator, and I'm so excited to be here with you, helping you activate the deepest levels of your soul.
What is the soul?
The soul is a individuated pinpoint of light that comes from a higher body of light. So if you can think about the sun and how it's this big bright ball of light, and you have seen the rays of sunshine come through the trees on that sunny day, think about your soul in the same way. You're actually connected to one source energy, and your soul is an individuated piece of that light, here expressing right now in human form.
Is a soul born? Does a soul die?
So souls have an infinite time frame, and there is no time outside of this earth plane. So when we think about things dying and being born, that's a really earthly based concept. So if you think of everything happening all at once, it's an easier way to start to think about our souls. We here on earth tend to like to compartmentalize things and have things happen in a really linear fashion. However, up beyond this plane, it really doesn't work like that. Everything's happening all at once. So while here on earth, it may appear that a soul is born and there's a new soul here on earth, but in actuality, you have been here since eternity, and your consciousness is going back to eternity. There is no stopping and starting.
What's the difference between a young soul and an old soul?
Young souls on earth, in my opinion, have not been to earth for very many times. They are new here. They are trying to work out the kinks as a human. They might not really even understand certain basic things, and they're working on some basic lessons of life versus old souls have gone through many iterations, and many of them have actually graduated from the school of earth and have chosen to come back now to be helpful guides for those souls who may not understand yet that they are more than just a human, that they are more than just their flesh and bones. So old souls have done many things. They've been to other planets, they've been different species, they've been different versions of themselves, versus the young souls here on planet Earth, which are still really expressing themselves in consciousness. And it's a newer experience for them to express themselves in consciousness in physical form.
What is the soul's relation to Source/God?
If you can imagine that source energy is this big ball of light, and you are an individuated piece of that light, and what happens is your experience actually feeds back information into source energy. You, the very nature of you being here, is expanding consciousness with your every experience. And you get to decide how that experience wants to go. So you can feed back data that fills up the cup of source, and you can also have experiences that are very hard and difficult. And on the other side, source energy doesn't have a judgment about that. It's all information that's expanding and growing consciousness. And so if you can just remember that you are directly connected to divine source energy, and that your experience in life is feeding back and growing the consciousness of the whole, I really think that's an amazing place to be, because then you can start to make really conscious choices about your life and expand expand your consciousness, but also the consciousness of the all.
Mind, body, or soul? Which is the real us?
We as humans tend to think our body is what is real because we're so identified with our physical body, and there is many people that really never even make it into the body because they're so in their head, they're in their minds, they're very analytical. And on human life on planet Earth for the last several thousand years, we have been mostly living in the head and not in the heart, which I think is the seat of the soul. It's where the soul resides, and it's where we tap in to that divine connection, that 0 point energy, that fifth dimensional living, whatever you want to call it. It's the portal of our hearts that connects us up directly into source energy. And when we remember that we are directly connected at all times into source energy, and we don't have to go through somebody else in order to get our connection, that's when we start to feel that internal worth. That's when we start to feel that instantaneous healing, that health, that vitality, because we are plugged in directly. So, in my opinion, you can't really separate them. You can't separate the body, the mind, the heart, the soul. You are one unit, just like you can't separate the car from the driver when it's moving down the road. You need it all, and you are the driver operating this beautiful divine vehicle of light. And when you come into your heart and you directly connect up in to that source energy, that's when everything in your life really starts to gel. You start to feel that worth, you start to feel that vitality and that connection. So using them all together is my guidance.
Are human incarnations voluntarily chosen?
There's so many beliefs about what it means to be human and how our lives take place here on the planet. Ultimately, my experience on the other side is that we come here for so many different reasons. Think of being on planet Earth like going on a vacation of a lifetime, and one that you design for healing, growth, and evolution. So some souls are here to learn, some souls are here to be teachers, and maybe that teacher is in the form of a child who has a serious illness, and they're teaching their parents the most patience of a lifetime. So there's so many different reasons why people come here, why souls come here to planet Earth. Now, I personally don't believe that people are here against their will. However, it's like being in third grade, being on planet Earth. And if you don't graduate third grade, guess what? You have to come back and do third grade again and again and again until you pass. So in some sense, you could say that maybe some people are here against their will because they didn't graduate third grade. But all they have to do is dig in, do the work, and complete the lessons, and then they can move on to fourth grade and other interesting places.
What's the purpose of life on the physical plane?
We come here as human beings to experience all of the physical pleasures of life. When you pop out of the body and go back into source consciousness, you are mostly a light being. You really lose a lot of the density that we experience here on planet Earth. When I was on the other side and I came back, the physical amount of density I felt was equivalent to being dropped off a 1,000-story building. So being human is actually a very dense, very difficult experience at times. And though you're here to experience the sensual pleasures of life, and you're here to experience the lessons that we learn here on planet Earth that you can only learn when you have a physical body.
Why would a soul choose to leave heaven?
A lot of people believe in the concept of heaven, and I can tell you since being on the other side that it is a concept that is an earthly based concept. there really is no such thing as heaven. In fact, there are vast experiences for you to choose from on the other side, but not one that you're just sitting amongst the angels in the pearly gates, walking down the streets of gold. It really doesn't work out like that. You are here as a soul, as a consciousness to expand. And so we don't ever really leave heaven. However, we do choose to have vast and amazing experiences. So just like in the morning when you choose to leave your house because you want to go for a walk and experience the beautiful trees and the nature in the park, or like you head out to work so you can make your living, as a soul, we do much the same thing. We decide on different vehicles, aka our bodies, that we want to choose to experience the world through. Because as consciousness, we need to experience through things. And so that's why, as a soul, we pick being a human. We pick, maybe being other things, other more expansive things. So we're choosing these experiences in order to experience ourselves.
Many people experience challenges while living in a body. Does the soul seek such challenges, and if so, why?
Challenge is actually something that we come here to planet Earth for. Very much, that's why we come here. We actually grow and expand through challenge. If you think about being a human, like going to the gym, when you challenge that muscle and you're working it out, you're ripping and tearing those muscles, but you're growing and expanding that muscle. And the exact same thing happens here on planet Earth. Now, here's the hard part, is that we have to deal with things like sick children, sick parents, catastrophic illness, unimaginable traumas happening, and they all happen here on planet Earth. Now, this is a twofold issue because on the one hand, we're learning and growing through these things. And on the other hand, we're also learning and growing as a species. There is a pact that we have, especially at this time, to learn and grow and uplift ourselves as a species, to stop doing some of these horrific things that we have been perpetuating over lifetimes. And in fact, as a species, humans are quite immature. And I often refer to being on planet Earth as being in third grade. And so we are here to learn how to be more mature. We're here to learn through some difficult challenges. But at the soul level, it's such a blip. It's such a fast moment in time that it really isn't anything for the soul. We're here on planet Earth to learn some very fundamental lessons like unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, and oneness, and this is the perfect school to do it.
Do souls have more than one incarnation, either on Earth or elsewhere?
Your soul is actually multidimensional. You are in many different places at once. And this can be a really hard concept for people to understand because we've been trained that we're just a human in a body. But I want you to imagine when you see a rainbow. And how we think about being human, we think, oh, we're just the color red. But if you think about how you see a rainbow, you see red, and you see green, and you see yellow, and you see purple, and magenta, and blue, and you see all of these colors together at times. And sometimes when you see the rainbow, you only see a portion of it. Yet the rainbow is all there. Now, just like a rainbow, you are always there, and there's so many different multidimensional aspects of you that most people are not attuned to. So just because you're not attuned to seeing something does not mean it's not there. And what happens here on planet Earth when you are born, unless you are born into a very high conscious family, you are trained right out of being multidimensional. You're trained right out of that consciousness from the word go. So most people here on planet Earth really can't even fathom that they are a human body and they're directly connected into source energy And you might be other things all at once right now. You might also be an angel. You might be an alien being, and it's all happening for you right now. And if you're not connected to that idea, it's very difficult. But like I say, just like a rainbow, there are so many parts of you that are multidimensional. And really, what's cool is if you're hearing this right now, it's an opportunity to tap back into that multi-dimensional aspect of you that is in more places than just this human plane right now.
Does the soul plan its incarnations ahead of time?
Your soul absolutely plans its incarnation out. And in fact, you get a whole team that is there to help you plan. You script this out with other people on your team that are here to help you learn the lessons. Your father, your mother, your siblings, the people in your life. Also, the people in your life who have harmed you the most, the people in your life that have been your biggest agitators, maybe your biggest enemies, all of those people in heaven, in the etheric plane, were there with you, scripting this out with you so that you could learn these beautiful lessons. Now, here's the thing to remember. You have infinite choice down here on planet Earth. And so how you choose to learn the lessons here may differ depending on the frequency that you are in. So if you happen to have a lot of joy and love in your frequency, you will learn these lessons that you came here to learn in a different way that is maybe a little less harsh. And if you live in a lot of judgment, fear, anger, you will learn the same lessons, but they will feel a little more difficult.
Do we have soul groups that we incarnate with across different lifetimes?
You have a soul group. You have a whole group of like-minded souls that is here to help you learn lessons, and likewise, you are here to help them learn lessons. One of the ways you can identify your soul group is when you see somebody and their eyes flash or maybe have a little more light in them. You'll have a recognition. You know somebody. And so these people that come into our lives are part of a soul group. They're people that pre-scripted with you to help you do this life, help you learn the lessons, help you grow and expand, and maybe even help you achieve your dreams. And by the way, you also scripted with other people. Think of this as your parents, your siblings, your friends, your foes, your worst enemies, and the people who harmed you. They are all part of your soul family. And when we are back at the soul level, we all love each other completely and we are cheering each other on. Only on planet Earth do we have the judgment and the anger and all of those emotions that come with some of the trials that happen here on planet Earth. But at the soul level, you actually teamed up with these people to learn beautiful lessons and have an amazing ride.
Are there contracts or agreements between souls?
When you come here to planet Earth, we absolutely make agreements. Some people like to call these contracts, although when I think about contracts, a lot of people feel like contract is so binding. And here's the thing that we have to remember here on planet Earth is that you also live in a free will place. And so if in any moment you are not happy with an agreement, or maybe you've learned the lesson a lot faster, you can choose to shift that agreement. You can choose to complete that agreement. You can choose to complete that contract. So yes, we script with each other to help each other learn and grow and expand. And at any time here on planet Earth, remember, you are divine in physical form. You are consciousness in a physical body, and you get to say, hey, this is serving me, and I really want to choose to continue with this. And you can also say, this is not serving me, and I choose to stop this agreement at this time. And so you get to have that choice.
Do spirit guides or angels assist us?
We all come in with spirit guides and angels that are here ready to assist us. And How much they can assist us really depends on you. Your conscious choosing to allow your spirit guides and your angels into your life will give them access, versus if you haven't given them access, if you haven't given them permission to come in and work with you, then they sort of have to sit by the waysides, twiddling their energetic thumbs, so to speak, waiting for you to say, yes, I'd like some help. They can really only come in if you're not saying yes to working with them when there's an emergency. And so we see this a lot with people who aren't awake to the fact that there's beautiful spirit guides and angels waiting to help them, and they have this devastating emergency, and that angel will rush in and help them because it's not their time or something's not supposed to happen in that way. However, what's really important for you to know is that your consciousness trumps everything. And so if you're blocking yourself from working with your guides and your angels, you are blocking yourself from a treasure trove of support and vast amounts of resources. And if you just say yes to working with your guides and angels, they can come in and literally pave the way for you. In fact, a simple practice that you can do every day is say, angels and guides, please today pave the way for my highest path and the most joy and fun and abundance throughout my day. And then watch the magic happen.
What is death?
On planet Earth, we have a pretty skewed view of what death is. Death, to me, is like a rebirth. Imagine being more conscious than you ever have been. Imagine being birthed out the birth canal of this body into the vast universe that is bathing you in love and bliss and ease and peace. Death is a concept that you've been taught that isn't at all true. Death is something that I think we should reframe into a rebirth, into the most conscious version of you. Now, I will also say, as a near death survivor, that where you go when you birth yourself out of this humanly body is largely dependent on your consciousness at the time. So, in the Western world, we don't really have a conscious death process. You can choose to think thoughts of divine and light and really go into that, versus what eventually happened to me in my near-death experience is I didn't align with that, and I went into the etheric realms, and I went into a place where I would have probably been stuck as a ghost for many, many years. So you get to choose with your consciousness how you complete this life. And so in this lifetime, you have the most amazing chance to up-level your consciousness and grow and expand and really move on to higher realms outside of planet Earth. But it does start with your consciousness and remembering that death is really being rebirthed into something way more conscious than what you are currently right now.
After death, do souls return to visit loved ones still on Earth?
When you die, there's a lot of different options that you have, and it's really important to remember that we are multidimensional beings, especially after we leave our physical body. You can go back and visit loved ones, and you can go back and be with them. And I say go back, it's like you never left them because everything really is happening all at once. Now, here's the thing to remember is that the people here on planet Earth, they often can't feel a loved one be with them because they're at such a frequency dissonance. So just like if you were a deep sea creature, you couldn't go and experience life above the ocean. And so when we pass on, our frequency is so high, and being a human, our frequency is rather low. It's kind of equivalent to being a deep sea creature, that you've got to kind of balance those frequencies in order to feel those loved ones who have passed on, because they can only bring their frequency down so much. So yes, when we pass on, we often want to go and surround our loved ones with love and healing and light and look out for them. But really remembering that we're everywhere all at once. So it's easy for us. It's not like we are having to make a choice of, oh, I'm going to go be around my family versus go be in the realms of the universe. You're everywhere all at once.
What is the veil of forgetting and why do we need it?
When we come into this life, many of us go through a veil of forgetting. However, some people don't. At some level, we come down to planet Earth in order to experience lessons and grow and learn. And if you can think about it this way, when you're a human, you're actually giving a feedback loop of your experience up into source energy. Call it God, call it the universe, call it divine, call it what you will. You are expanding consciousness with everything that you do. So, part of the fun of being here on planet Earth is technically forgetting a lot about your lessons. So we come down here and we go through the veil of forgetfulness so that we can't exactly know what our lessons are in order for them to be fresh and new. However, I would also add that especially over the last 10,000 years, we have been purposefully trained out of remembering who we are. The truth of who you are is that you were always connected with divine source energy. And my personal opinion is that we are in the process of a wake up, reminding people that they were never disconnected and that they can access that energy at any time. And I personally believe that as more and more people like you go and do this work of awakening to the truth of your divine self, the more that our experience as humans on this planet will change. And I personally think that we will go through extended period of peace and unlike anything that you've ever seen before. So why do we go through the forgetfulness? Because we have to learn the lessons, but I don't believe that we had to forget that we are divine in physical form.
Discuss the role of free will in a given incarnation.
Let's talk about free will for a second, shall we? It might appear sometimes on planet Earth that you don't have free will, but you actually have a lot of free will to make choices, conscious choices with your life. You get to decide whether you are empowered or you get to decide whether you are in disempowerment mode. However, many people on planet Earth right now have been trained into being very disempowered. So it might appear as if there is not a free will clause here. However, there is one, and at any moment in time, you can decide that your life will be different. You actually have a lot of free will choice about what happens to you in this life. Now, I will also say you do have predestined experiences that happen to you. So there is some conjecture between free will and predestined experiences, but remember, you are the one that designed these experiences. You are the one that said, as a soul, I want to come in and experience this thing that I want to experience. Maybe it's having a family. Maybe it's having an autistic child. Maybe you wanted to experience what it was like to be homeless. There's so many vast experiences, and at soul level, we don't judge them. We very much do here on planet Earth, but at soul level, you designed a lot of this life experience. And here on planet Earth, you do have a lot of say so in how you choose to experience your world. And how you choose to experience your world is really based on the frequency that you're holding within inside you.
Is life on the physical plane an illusion?
When we come here to planet Earth, it's easy to get caught up in our physical bodies and thinking that this is all that there is, this physical experience. However, there are so many different ideas of, is it an illusion? Is it a video game? Are we just playing in the matrix? And the truth is that Earth is not all that you might think it is. It is a little bit more like a video game. If you can imagine that you are an avatar soul telling the video game what the experience is that you want to have. That's a lot what being on planet Earth is like. So is it an illusion? Well, you're experiencing it, so no, it's not an illusion. However, the way that we think about it as human beings is an illusion because we think about it as black and white, alive or dead, and that's not really how the universe works. It's not black and white. We're not alive or dead. We are all the things all at once. And so here on planet Earth, it's just a little moment in time where we get to choose to have these beautiful earthly experiences. And the more you can think about your life in terms of you are an avatar, you're a spiritual ray of light coming through, inhabiting your body, which is your divine vehicle, the more you can think about it in that way, the more you will move through this life with a lot of ease and grace.
Do we create our own realities?
You absolutely create your own reality here. And many people on planet Earth aren't woken up to that fact that they are creating their reality. They're more moving through their lives day after day on autopilot, so to speak. And so when you are aware and awake to the fact that you get to choose your reality, then everything can change for you. Now, here's something to remember. As you're creating your reality, with great power comes great responsibility. As you raise your frequency and expand your consciousness, you will start to get access to create your reality faster and faster. And literally, the moment you think something, the moment it'll come in. It's an ask and you shall receive universe. However, many people aren't granted access to that level because they don't yet have that level of responsibility. My experience on the other side was everything happens in the blink of a thought. And so one of the things you're learning to do here on planet Earth is choose your thoughts and your feelings and your vibrations wisely. Because on the other side, at higher levels of consciousness, you have to be able to hold your frequency and hold loving, blessing thoughts no matter what. Let's say, for example, you have a neighbor who's noisy and unkind. A common reaction to this is to go into judgment and to cue up feelings of anger and even sometimes hatred against your neighbor. But imagine choosing something different. Imagine blessing them. Imagine waking up every morning thinking thoughts of love and kindness and asking that their day be blessed. Guess what's going to happen when you choose the path of blessings? You are going to have that neighbor turn around. They're going to become quiet. They're going to become the neighbor who maybe knocks on your door and brings you flowers. But it absolutely changes the nature of the situation, and you get to choose. Ultimately, in this lifetime, do you choose blessings and love, even in the face of your neighbor not being nice and being noisy and being loud? Or do you choose hatred, anger, and judgment? It is a choice, a very conscious choice. And when you make it, that's when your whole world changes.
Describe the life between lives.
After you finish this lifetime here, what happens for many people is that we go into a period where we are given different choices. For me personally, as a near-death experiencer, I actually went into the astral realm. I went into a very earth-like place, and had I stayed there, I probably would have been a ghost or an entity, as some might call them. So we all have different places that we go after we pass on. We all get this period where we get a chance to review our lessons. Did we do a good job with the lessons? Or do we need to go back and learn those lessons again? Are we ready for a more advanced lesson? Do we want to sign up to be somebody's teacher? These are just some of the questions that we get after we pass on in that in-between lifetimes review period.
Are we judged or punished for our mistakes in the afterlife?
On the other side, there's no such thing as judgment or punishment. Punishment and judgment are something that very much are earthly based concepts. I will say that when you pass on the other side, you may have some regrets, but it will be a very personal feeling. There's no entity, God, or experience outside of you that's going to judge you and punish you. If you think about those concepts, they're a way that we use here on planet Earth to keep people from doing things that we don't want them to do. But the purpose of you being here is to have experiences, and we're not always going to get it right. Plus, many of you scripted in this lifetime to be somebody's teacher through a very negative experience. On the other side, there's no place that you go that's in judgment. There's no place that you go that's going to punish you. It just doesn't happen. It's a very earthly concept.
Is there such a thing as hell?
A lot of people ask me if there's such a thing as hell, and what I tell them is if you are not conscious, earth can feel a lot like hell. On the other side, there's no such thing as hell. There are other realms that you go to, there's other experiences, but planet Earth, if you're not conscious, can feel very hard. It can feel very much like the gnashing of teeth and the wailing that is described in some religious texts. However, you get to choose if you want to pop out of that. You get to choose to have gratitude for your situation. You get to choose to experience different emotions. One of the big goals of Earth is to have you feel frequencies even when it's hard. So for example, feeling love even when your body isn't working the way you want it to. Feeling kindness towards yourself and others even when it's hard. When you can learn to do those things, Earth starts to feel more like heaven, and the people in your life, they act as angels and messengers and guides in your everyday is sort of magical. And on the other hand, if you are thinking that people are out to get you and you are thinking that the world is against you, this earthly plane can feel very much like hell. But on the other side, when you pass on, I can absolutely assure you that one of the things you'll find is that you're instantly greeted with the feelings of love and ease and joy. And you get to choose that also when you're here.
Describe the life review.
So I'm a near-death experiencer, and I actually didn't get a life review. So I think it's important to say that maybe not everyone goes to that stage, but conceptually speaking, had I died all the way, right, because I was only a little dead, I might have experienced the life review, which is where we get to grade our papers. Did we do what we came here to do? Did we complete the karma that we had? Did we learn the lessons? Did we install the frequencies of joy, of love, of compassion? Did we do those things? And if not, we get to come back here and learn to do it again. So something else that happens in the life review is that you get the chance to experience your life from all facets of the diamond. So imagine that argument that you had with your parent. You also get to see how they experience that argument and maybe how your siblings experience witnessing that argument. Or whatever the situation is, you get everybody's feedback loop coming in through you. Right here, right now on planet Earth, as you raise your consciousness, you start to open your heart and you start to feel already other people's experience. You start to take into account how they are experiencing what's happening in real time. And so I'd encourage you to start to tune in daily. How are you being with your fellows, your fellow humans, and how are they likely experiencing you in the world? If you start to take these things into account, on the other side, your life review starts to become more joyful versus having those feelings of regret and wishing you would have responded or did things differently.
What is karma?
Let's talk about karma for a second. Through our lifetimes, we can build up karma, and maybe we did a lot of good things and we come into this lifetime and we experience a lot of good things. We might also have done a lot of bad things in other lifetimes, and we come here and we then need to go into the mode of being and learning how to be a good person and a decent person. You can also have karma in this lifetime. And in fact, right now on planet Earth, we're having karma more instantaneously because time has sped up, our universe has sped up. And so it's allowing you to have a more quickened feedback loop to karma. I like to think about karma again as a diamond. So thinking about facets of a diamond and getting to experience something from all sides of that diamond. And so ultimately, that's really all karma is it's helping you experience a situation from as many aspects as possible in order to expand your consciousness. It's not a good or a bad, it's not a punishment, it's helping you to expand your consciousness and hold more frequency.
How do you define forgiveness?
Forgiveness is the healing elixir of life. Forgiveness is something that is done for you. When we don't have forgiveness in our world, it's like drinking a poison and hoping the other person gets sick. And what happens is that so many people are walking around with unforgiveness in their hearts towards others who have harmed them and towards ourselves. And so when we can go in and do the inner work of loving unconditionally what happened, knowing that whatever happened, as horrific as it may be, we allow a freeing up of energy because unforgiveness acts as a block in our system. So I define forgiveness as the most healing elixir you can have in your life.
How do you define happiness?
Happiness is a choice that you get to make every single day. We all are waiting for circumstances outside of ourselves to determine our happiness, but ultimately, happiness is a frequency that you get to feel on the inside. And when you choose to allow yourself to be happy, no matter what, that's really when your world starts to change. You know, I live in Hawaii. I see this all the time. I wake up every day in paradise. The birds are chirping. It's amazing. And yet, I've seen people come to Hawaii upset because they wake up in the morning and the birds are chirping. So if we just remember that we get to choose our response to life, and no matter what life brings us, that happiness is truly a choice.
Discuss the idea of oneness/unity and how we can apply it in our everyday lives.
Okay, so on planet Earth, looks are a little deceiving, and it appears as if we are all separated individuals. So for me, the concept of oneness has to do with we really do all come from one source energy. And so on planet Earth, even though it appears as if we're solo units in human bodies and that the rocks and the sand and the birds and all of life is individuated, we all come back to this one big, beautiful one ray of light. And if you can think about it like a diamond, we all are all fractal aspects of that diamond, having a very different experience, feeding back consciousness into that one source energy. At higher levels of consciousness, when you open up your vision and your feeling sense, you understand that we are all one. When your consciousness is higher and your feeling centers are open, you actually feel your fellow human beings as you. You feel them every bit as strongly as yourself. And so you have an understanding that, oh my gosh, we really are one source energy here. But how do you apply oneness when you're in a hurry to get out of the grocery store and the guy in front of you has got all their coupons out and they're counting their coins and you just want to get out of the grocery store? What then? Here's what you can actually do is you can remember that this person is on some level a part of you. They are on some level expressing something to you in some way. And here's a little tip that you can do that helps everything move in your life is you can love and bless that person silently while you're in the grocery store line. When you do this, you might all of a sudden have a new lane open up and a cashier come to your aid to say, I'm happy to help you right here. The person might all of a sudden say, you know what, I forgot something. I'll be back. Take care of this person behind me. You can't know what's going to happen. But when you choose to offer blessings and love, even when the situation calls for impatience instead, that's when you start to really become the creator of your life. When you start to realize that this person is your greatest teacher, and having patience and holding that frequency of unconditional love, then everything changes for you.
What does the belief in separation cost us?
Because so many of us here have been trained into separation, the idea or the notion that we have to seek consciousness outside of ourselves, or seek forgiveness, or seek connection to God, source, universe, energy outside of ourselves, it is, I think, one of the greatest lies told to humanity, and it's one of the things that keeps us stuck as humans. Because when you remember the truth of yourself, the fact that you are directly connected into divine source energy, into universal source energy, your DNA starts to change. You start to upgrade yourself. You start to be able to have different powers and gifts and skills, such as incredible intuition and psychic gifts that all come online. But when we are stuck in separation, when we're stuck in thinking that the information we need is outside of ourselves and that your neighbors are separate from you, it keeps us locked into a sort of battle mode. And I'd also add that that's been part of the thing of Earth, is that the powers that be want to kind of keep us locked into battling with each other and locked into believing that we're not one, and that we are so separate, and that we can't directly connect into divine source energy. And so just the fact that you're here and you're watching this right now means you're waking up to this idea that you can be directly connected. And when you're directly connected, no one can take your power away, and you get to be the master of your life.
Where is heaven?
As a near death survivor, I get asked a lot, where is heaven? Does it exist? And you may or may not like my answer, because heaven is something that you get to experience right now. Heaven is a choice. You actually live on a beautiful, glorious planet that so many souls are lining up to get to. It is such an epic journey of sensual feelings and tastes and sights and beauty like no other. And so you live in a place where you can literally have heaven on earth. And yet, so many people are here in suffering. What you can do every day is make a choice that you're going to experience heaven on earth. Every day you can wake up and align with the frequency of heaven on earth. Every day you can wake up and say to yourself, this day is going to be the most magical, amazing day, and I'm calling in the support of my guides and angels to pave the way before me so that I have the most delicious day and that I'm of service to all that I meet. When you do that, you will experience heaven on earth. Looking for heaven in the afterlife, I personally think, is one of the biggest mistakes we as humans make. Try waking up tomorrow and knowing that you can create your heaven right here, right now, on this gorgeous planet of ours.
Where is God?
So many people have been trained that God is somebody that lives outside of them. And in many cultures, we believe that God is a man with a beard who sits in the clouds. And I'm here to tell you, as a near death survivor, that God lies directly within you, that you are a direct ray, you're an aspect, you're a piece of God. And so, if you can just remember that you are God right now, here in physical form, you are directly connected to that through your intention, through your consciousness. And what moves us away from that is our forgetting that. So, right now, remember that God does not live outside of you. There is no man in the pearly gates. There is you and your direct connection to that beautiful divine source energy. And accessing that with your intention is going to be life changing.
Many believe we're shifting to a higher consciousness on this planet. Do you agree? And if so, can you describe this shift?
Let's talk about the consciousness shift that's happening on this planet right now. We're in the midst of a massive shift in consciousness here on the planet. By the way, if you are here right now, your soul was so excited to come here because you get to be a part of this upshift in consciousness, which also comes with a little bit of chaos. If you think about what it actually takes to raise somebody's consciousness, it takes a lot. Me personally, I needed that near death experience. I needed to hit the rock bottom in order for me to finally wake up and say, oh my gosh, my life can be different. So imagine that's sort of what we're happening on a global scale is people are having those more rock bottom moments to get them to wake up and change their life and wake up in their consciousness. Now, that's not an easy thing when it's happening personally, and it's for certain not an easy thing when it's happening collectively. We've had this long period of time where it was fairly easy, and now we're being squeezed. We're being forced almost into expanding our consciousness through sometimes negative circumstances. But if you think about how a diamond is formed, oftentimes things that are most brilliant are formed under the most amount of pressure. And so we here on planet Earth right now are given this beautiful opportunity, and the souls that got to be here at this time feel so grateful and thankful because this is the time when we get to shift out of this consciousness that we've really had here for the last 10,000 some years. And the consciousness that we've had has been one that is based in separation, in fear, and those lower, denser emotions that kind of have us in more victim mode or disempowerment mode. And we're now moving up the scale of consciousness into empowerment mode, into remembering that we are connected with divine energy, into remembering that there's nothing that separates you from your source. Now, as a near death survivor, I will also tell you that it seems darkest before the dawn. And as a human being, we can tend to want to think that our fellow humans don't stand a chance. But I'm here to say that had you looked at my life 20 years ago, you would have said, that girl doesn't stand a chance of waking up. And when we have these moments that require us to dig deep and to uncover the trauma and do the healing work, which is what we're doing on a collective level right now, that's when the magic happens and we start to peel back the layers and we come into contact with who we truly are.
What's the most important thing you learned from your near death or other spiritually transformative experience?
There's so much I want to say about having died and getting to come back. As an NDEer, I personally think the most important thing that I'm here to help people remember is that you get a chance to heal right here and right now, and that healing is possible, and that you don't get to take anything with you to the other side besides your soul growth. All you get to take with you is your expansion and your ability to hold frequency like love and compassion and forgiveness in your heart. You don't get to take the material stuff. So remember, it's all about your learning and what you take with you in your heart, in the feelings that you learn to have while you're here on planet Earth.
What are some practical applications of the idea that we're eternal spiritual beings?
Remembering that you're a divine spiritual being inhabiting a physical body, so you are the driver of your divine vehicle, is really important because when you remember that, your whole life gets better. When you remember that you've got access to the fastest internet connection, you've got access to all the wisdom of the cosmos and all the support of the cosmos, it can actually come as and through you. It can come to you and through you. So not remembering that and not embracing that makes your life very hard. However, once you have a reclamation of yourself, once you come back home to the truth of you, which is that you are divine in physical form, your whole entire life gets better, and your environment and the people in your environment start to really behave differently.
What's the secret to remembering who we really are?
The secret to remembering who you really are is coming back home to your heart. Most people go around their day and they're in their head, they're worrying about tasks they have to get done and grocery lists and how much money they want to make. And the secret is to come back home to your heart, to spend time in nature and to spend time connecting to yourself. When you do that, when you get quiet, when you listen, you'll remember who you are.
What does our soul want us to know?
Your soul wants you to know that you are loved. Your soul wants you to remember that you can talk to it, that you can ask it for help, and you don't have to do this life alone. You have access to vast wisdom. And if you tune in and talk to your soul and ask to receive support, you will be guided. You will have the most magical days. So your soul wants you to remember that the more you take time to connect with your higher self, your soul, your divine self, whatever you want to call it, the more that soul can come in and help you to feel loved and connected and treasured. And that's really it. That's all that matters, is you connecting with your soul.
Is there a positive message or message of hope you'd like to leave us with?
Right now is the most amazing time to be human on the planet and to remember the truth of who you are. Remembering that you are divine in physical form is the secret to changing this planet. It is the secret to ushering in a new era. And right now, you can wake up into new levels of consciousness and light. And as you do, remember, do not count any of your fellow human beings out, even the ones that you think, oh, they're never going to make it. Remember that they too have their best chance in this lifetime of waking up to new levels of consciousness and new levels of light. Remember that you are here to expand your consciousness. And as you hold more love, as you hold more hope and more healing and more frequency in your physical body, you actually change the whole entire planet around you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. And thank you for choosing to be here on planet Earth for this epic shift.